Good morning, POTA family. Whiskey Alpha 3 November, coming to you from Whiteville State Fishing Lake, US-12071. Out here to do some POTA today. My parts came in. We have the JPC7 back in action. So, we're going to set up today. I'm trying to keep it light and quick. This is a lunchtime activation and we're going to hurry. So, this is everything I need. We've got radio and equipment, tablet for logging, JPC7 Dipole, and this big old tripod to activate with. You can see some of the scars that took this down the other day. That caused me to lose the JPC, but that is back in action now, so we're gonna get fired up and play some radio. Let's pack up and head up. I've got a great spot to activate here. I've been here once, and the last time I was here, I activated just sideband. So we are here today to get a CW activation in the books as well. So let me about drop the tripod. Let me shut the car here. See if I can do this. Aha, there we go. Okay, so here's where we're going. Got a nice pavilion up here on the top of the hill. Just a little hike. It's about, I don't know, 15 feet or so in elevation change. But that little bit of elevation change really helps. Last time I was here, sometime summer last year, 2025, I set up here and had great success. I had my infed halfway with me that time, and if I remember correctly, it seems I threw it in this tree right here on the right. One of these dead branches hanging over the pavilion a little bit. I think I had it set up there and tied it off to this railing and a ground spike over there and activated from this park bench. So we're gonna do it a little bit easier today. Get this dipole set up. So there's our tripod and equipment, dipole, tablet. So we're gonna start with getting the tripod set up. I'm gonna try to film this. I think there's a little bit of interest in this antenna, so I'm going to try to show that for you. So hopefully I can get this where you can see it. Put the camera here. There we go. Alright, so my coax isn't super long, so I'll have to be a little bit cautious of that, so I can still feed the antenna. But we'll open this up nice and wide so it's stable. There's not much breeze today. It's pretty calm, so I don't think we'll have a lot of issues. Park's pretty busy today. So we'll get this dipole out here. So I start with three things. I've got the, this is a 1-to-1 balun, I believe. It's rated for 100 watts according to the label there. There's this base here. So I'll hook the leads up to whichever of these that I need to, and then this sits down on the tripod. And then we'll connect the elements to these threaded pieces here. Then we Velcro that balun up there just so that we're not stressing those little banana plugs on the leads. And then what I like to do is assemble an entire element. And on these coils, there's two marks. So this end will go into these extension rods, and then there's of course the sliding short here, and there's a mark on this side for 40 meters, and then right here is 20. So I'm going to slide that up, we'll do 20 today because it's middle of the day. 40 is not going to be much of a viable option now. Thread that coil in. Here's one of the new whips. Came in yesterday. I'm excited to have this back on the air. I love this antenna. It just works. So I'll feed that into this base like so. And then I leave the whip collapsed to start with so I don't make the antenna very heavy one-sided. And then we'll assemble that other half. Same thing, check your coil, make sure it's in the right spot. Let's see. Oop, I got that backwards. And I know I'll never be able to show it on camera very well, but you got to make sure that you get on the actual coil and you're not bridging the gap between two, or you'll really be scratching your head while your SWR and your impedance are all over the place. So, and if you're not familiar with coils, all that does is electronically lengthen the antenna. This antenna is not physically half a wavelength of 20 meters. So what the coil does is it's wrapped in wire, comes out on this end, wraps around, and what I've done is I've shorted it intentionally so that the coil is only this long electronically and only adds that much coil length to the actual antenna. So that's what gives us our 20 meter resonance. So next I'll pull my whips out. And we'll get the other side. All right, so let me show you just a little bit here. This is actually a really big antenna once you get it set up, which is awesome for how small the bag is. So you can see here, that whip does droop a good amount, but I've never had an issue from the whip's own weight. The only time I've had an issue is when I've done something stupid, like drop it, or let the tripod get blown over because I had it set up too high and a gust of wind came through. So before we put it up, let's hook up our coax. Let me get that going here. So that's in our bag as well. So everything else besides the antenna is pretty much in this bag. So here's my coax. It's a nice light piece of coax. This actually came with my Radioddity vertical, and it's just really good coax. It's done really well for me. So it's not very long, maybe 20 feet, but I'm hoping it's long enough to do what we need today. So I'm gonna hook it up real quick and we'll check it out. All right, so I've got that hooked up to the dipole. We're gonna hook up our NanoVNA and check that out real quick. I've got that Swisstech battery with me again that solar charges, so it's slowly recharging itself while we sit here. I don't plan on being here anywhere near long enough to deplete it, but we have it anyway. We're gonna be rocking the QMX again today. So we'll see what we can do with 5 watts and this dipole. I have a feeling it's going to be quite a bit. So let me see here. Get this dialed in on frequency real quick. All right, so let me see if I can show you this, if it will cooperate. So right now you can see it's way off. We're looking at 1.9 at the low end of the 20 meter band, but the antenna is on the ground. So when I pick this up, 2 sections, which will give me about 10 feet, that's about all I'm going to do at the moment. We'll see what it does to the SWR, because it's probably going to really change that. So let me get that up and we'll see what we get then. Alright, so I got it down to about 1.6, roughly in the area I plan to operate. I did end up putting it all the way up. I have it near the building, which I know the metal roof could interfere just a little bit, but I'm hoping that that gives me something that if it moves towards the building, that'll stop it. I really don't want to lose this antenna again. I think my coax length might be just a touch short for this. This antenna does like longer coax, so that's part of it. But let's hook up the QMX and see what it thinks SWR-wise. Put you there. So I've got the QMX here. We're going to power that on and get that hooked up. And see what it tells me. So move that NanoVNA off to the side. And then go into our menu and we'll look for audio or hardware tests. That's what we're looking for. Hardware test, and then tune SWR, enter. It's showing me 1.3 at 50% output, so I think it's okay. I think we're gonna roll with it just like that. So let me sit down here and see what we can do with this here. Get our speaker plugged in. Thankfully it's a calm day, otherwise I would have had to figure something else out. I do have the X6200 in the truck, but I really wanted to use the QMX today, but since the X6200 has a built-in tuner, it would have been able to match up with this a little better and basically get us what we needed. So let's see here. Get my paddle out. And I did finally bring a spare paddle. This is another Putikeeg that I have. Kind of looks like a tail rotor on a helicopter. This was my first key. It's a good key. It's not giving me really any issues. The only problem is if you look at the design, the paddles are exposed on the sides. So I like to key with my paddle in my hand, and so what I end up doing sometimes is my finger will actually activate that, and I'll end up sending extra characters. And this one doesn't feel quite as tight as the silver key does, but it gets the job done. So if the silver key gives me much fit, I may switch to this one today just so I can get through the activation without really irritating all the hunters. So let's get our logging set up over there. And get ready to get on the air. So I'm looking at 51.5, so 14.0515 today. Let's see here. And I need to turn. All right, I'm back. So that looks like that cut off on me again. I have a lot of issues with that. I'm hoping to get a dedicated recording camera at some point, just using my phone right now. So that's why we have some of these issues with cuts and stuff. But I've got my QMX ready to go, speaker on it, tablet ready to log. Everything is set. I do have a spare key if I need it. It's also a Putikeeg, kind of looks like a helicopter tail. My only problem with it is sometimes I'll touch that arm. You see it's exposed. I'll touch that and key on accident. So I do have the silver key. We'll start with that one and go from there. But 14.05150. Let me change that. Looks like that's where I'm going to be today. Let me send a couple QRLs just to make sure. Sounds like my buddy Scott's having some issues with his activation, W3GTR. I hope you get it figured out, buddy. Sounds like that is not fun. So that's 3 QRLs. I haven't heard anything. Maybe I'm screaming into the abyss. I don't know. But let me get my RBN pulled up here on another tab so I can see myself as well as the POTA site to make sure my spot takes, because I have learned that lesson as well. So refresh the page here, make sure that it's not cached, and then go in. We're going to spot ourselves. This isn't a rare park or anything. There's like 25 activations here, but like I said when I was leaving the car, this is my first time doing CW here, so kind of exciting still in that regard. So let's see, spot, go check POTA app, refresh. I don't see myself yet. I'm not even going to call CQ until I see it on the spot page, because I've learned my lesson, and I don't want to waste a bunch of time calling CQ when no one's even aware I'm here yet. Running QRP, that's part of the problem, is you're less likely to be found by someone just scrolling the band. They kind of have to look for you. So there is an activation going on in Vermont right now. If you happen to be one of those people that need it, looks like Whiskey Alpha 2 Sierra Papa Lima is at 14057.5 Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge. There's my spot. All right, my spot is there. So we are going to call CQ. The acoustics in here are crazy. There's a little breeze. K2 JVB in New York. David, thank you so much. Sorry I'm a little distracted, but I'm just paranoid about this antenna trying to fall on me, and I do not want to do that again. So I didn't hear anyone after David, so we're going to CQ again. The ground's pretty level where it's at, just it's tall enough to catch a breeze. Got it. N5ITG. .579 into Oklahoma. I'm really surprised that no one's waiting there whenever we finish the QSO. Usually after just 1 or 2 QSOs, I've got kind of a pile-up going on, but that's okay. Less stress. My plan if this antenna starts trying to walk is to grab the coax and try to manage it enough to run over there and stop it. Alright, William in Texas, N5IM. 599, nice. There's the pile up. Ooh, that was... KG1A, Thomas in Florida. I'm pretty sure we've worked a handful of times. Okay, I know two of you don't have the same call sign. There it is, KA4MOE. I gotcha. Sorry. AA8R. Randy in Florida. So that puts us at 6. I'm just curious how quick I can activate this part. My first call was logged at 1746 UTC. We're at 1751 UTC right now, 52. N7WPO, Ronald in Washington. That's what I was thinking. No more callers? Send it again. So that should be 7, right? Yep. So we're not quite at 10 minutes. Boy, it's a nice day to be out here playing radio. It's like 65 degrees, real light breeze. Just a great day to be out here playing with the radio. See what the RBMs look like. Obviously it's working because we're getting calls, but oh wow. Got a spot south of Cuba, Florida, New York, Wisconsin, Utah, Arizona. Nice. Very widespread. And sometimes when I use this dipole, I'll turn it like it's got a rotator on it. Obviously I'm doing it by hand, but just moving that direction of it 30, 45 degrees can change a lot who I get. So sometimes I'll do that when things slow down. Wesley in Virginia, Whiskey 4, Whiskey Delta Kilo. So that should be 8. It is. So we're not going to get our 10 in 10, but we won't be too far off of it. It almost takes longer to set up than it does to activate. So I tried searching for like a headphone splitter because I want to put an earbud in my ear and have the speaker for you guys to listen to. And I guess Walmart just doesn't carry them anymore. They're out of stock at every Walmart in my area. So I guess it's going to be an Amazon snag, but I definitely want the ability to put the audio in the video, but also hear better, because I know it sounds nice and loud, but I don't know, when it's not in my ear, I struggle to hear a little bit compared to when I have an earbud in. ND8MS. So this is Mark in Michigan. $549. Thank you, sir, for the good luck. KA8JIL. Thomas in Florida. Still struggle to key and talk at the same time. I'm definitely not K4SWL. I'm doing a little better about spacing my characters from what I'm seeing on the QMX screen, so that's good. I've been struggling with that a little bit. So we are at, that was our 10, Thomas in Florida. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna go ahead and get my 12 or so that I like to get for these. but technically we activated the park in 12 minutes. That's pretty cool, especially CW. It's a little bit slower than voice, so that's awesome. Man, it's just so nice out here. This is a bit of a rare treat for February in Tennessee, and I can't complain. Normally what I do with my coax when it's longer is I kind of weave it through the tension knobs on the tripod to keep it a little more in line and prevent it from adding some sway to the tripod, but this coax is just long enough to go from where I'm sitting to the dipoles, so that's part of it. But it's still done fantastic for this activation so far. I mean, it's just done amazing. I missed one letter in there. Got it. KC0VJQ. Five, 6, 9. He's pretty soft, but I got him. Oh, UJQ, sorry. Hang on. Okay, there we go. KC0UJC. I'm sorry, you were just bouncy enough that I kept thinking that was a Q at the end. And I don't think that was your fault. I think that was a signal, but that was Nicholas in Iowa. So that one was a little bit rough, but we got it in there. I got you logged, buddy. Thank you so much for clarifying. I definitely want you to get credit for the park. So we'll get one more. That'll give us a nice 12 and make sure we've really got the park in case I screwed up another call in there. So far, they almost all have profile pictures, which is usually also a good sign. Tells me that it's, you know, someone with a WRL account. But yeah, it's been a fun journey to learn CW, and I thank you for following along with me as I activate these parks and bring this to YouTube. It's something I kind of wanted to do after following Thomas K4SWL for a while, and I thought, man, that looks like a lot of fun. TV. This is a 229, 239 at best. I'm just faintly getting a TV out of it, and that's it. I'm going to clear that out. I'm not really hearing them come back to me, so. So from start to now, we're at 14, 15, about 15 minutes. a little over a minute a Q. I mean, look at my stats here since I'm using WRL. 11 QSOs, average rate of 42 QSOs an hour. 700 miles is the average. My furthest is 2,000. Probably that QSO out to Washington. I honestly can't tell if there's code in there or not. Give it another round, see if they hear me, and call again if it is code. Sometimes you do that, it'll let the band come up enough to hear them. And I wasn't really hearing anything. And that's the other thing too, if I'm using earbuds, I can pick out weaker stations a lot better because it's in my ear blocking out background noise. Looking for one more station. Come on. We can get it. Victor Echo 3, Mike, Mike. Richard in Ontario. Alright, I'm going to do one more CQ. Last chance, any takers? Scott and I were hoping to link up during our activations at, obviously different states. But sounds like he's having some issues, so I don't know if he'll be able to. Alright, nothing heard, so we're going to QRT. Alright, who's going to call now? No? Man, it seems like 4 out of 5 times when I call QRT, someone comes up anyway. So let's spot QRT so we don't have anyone looking for us when they don't need to be. And then, alright, so that says it took. Let's show you the stuff here. And I'll do like I have been in all the other videos. I'll also upload all of this as screen grabs in the video, but let's show you here what we got. So here's our map, if you can kind of see out there to Washington, and then just kind of a spiral around here. And then our stats, we're looking at, so we got 12 QSOs across 20 minutes, 35 an hour is what we ended up with because of that last slow contact. N7WPO was our longest contact at almost 2,000 miles. 2 park-to-parks out of that. That's another thing I like about WRL is if it knows someone spotted in a park, it automatically lists it as a park-to-park in your log, which is awesome. We got 9 states, so that means we had 3 different kind of duplicate states. Obviously, that doesn't matter. That doesn't make me lose any credit or anything, but yeah, so, and then there's our log right there. Thank you very much, everybody, for getting in the logs today. Hopefully I got all your calls right. This call concerns me, KA4MOE. I may have screwed that up because you see there's no name. I put the state in there myself, so that may be a bounced call. and that would be entirely my fault. So let's shut this guy off. And again, I'll give you a view here. This is the operating setup from the bench here. Real short and simple, very light. 2 bags, a tablet, and a tripod was all I had. And then you can see that JPC chilling way up there. That thing is probably about 4 feet higher than the roof of this shelter. But it did good. I was a little scared having it that high again. I'll try to put a picture in the video as well of what happened to the last set of whips on this poor dipole. This thing has been through it, but it's still done well. So let's go ahead and let this thing down. Let's turn that tension screw, make sure we're not going to hit the roof, and bring her down. Try to do it gentle so we don't bounce those whips too much. And I just bounce the crap out of it, but they're generally okay from that. I've not had any issues doing that on accident. So let's open up this third pole section. Try to let her down a little smoother this time. There we go. And then our last one, so we can get this down where we can reach it. Woo! Yeah, that was a little much. Doing this one-handed is a lot harder, but you know, you got to do it for the gram, right? So we'll make sure all of our tensions are tight just for now. Just enough it doesn't weather vane on me. And then I'm going to set you guys down over here on the table, and we'll go through the teardown. That way you can see the teardown procedure. It's as simple as the setup was. That's why I like it. So I'll collapse one whip. Carefully, one section at a time. Now I'll do the other one. I know that's a little off camera, but I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And then I'll just take one of these elements and twist it off of the base like that. All collapsed. That's only about 4 feet long or so, like that. And then throw it back in the bag. And I have taken this and made kind of a rigged up POTA performer. I'll take all 4 sections of this fixed rod and then one coil and of course a whip, and I'll put that on the top part of this base. There is a thread portion right there, and of course I'll connect up that ballon so that it provides a connection to that. And then I'll use the other side, the ground side of that balance connection, to hook on to with an alligator clip, and then I'll do a raised radial or even 2 with just some speaker wire basically, and that will get me a performer. And it's very resonant. It's not perfect because of course I'm still using the coil. The whip's not a full 17 feet tall. If I had a couple more of these fixed sections, I could probably make it 17 feet tall, but I don't know. I'm just kind of doing it with what I've got, and I just thought it was a fun challenge to see if I could do it. So we'll finish getting packed up here and get on the road. Got a little drive ahead of me to get home. Bring this over where you can see it a little better. We'll tear that down in just a minute. So just take that whip off, slide that in the case. Same thing with our coil. And then separate our last 2 sections here. And then the last thing I need to do with this, take our coax off. Just like that. And then loosen this set screw. I'll tighten that back down so it doesn't fall out and I lose it in the trunk of the car. Ask me how I know that too. And then I'll kind of show you how that works. So there's the base stud, there's a set screw that you can kind of see where it's marted up a little bit, but slide this down in there, tighten the set screw, and that's your base. Again, you can see where those elements attach. There's that 1-to-1 with the UHF on the bottom there. So, and then like I said, I Velcro that to it so that you're not stressing these little banana clips. I did not learn that lesson initially. I didn't learn it the hard way, thankfully, other than these are just slightly bent. But one time I realized I've got almost 20 feet of coax hanging off of these banana clips where it's plugged into this balun. I was like, man, that seems like a silly idea. Why would they do that? And then I looked through the bag a little better, and I found this JPC7 antennas Velcro loop, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes more sense. So they even give you what you need for that. So props, you know, for not being just a major well-known company like, you know, Alpha Antenna or Chameleon or anything like that. It still does the job very well. And the price point's hard to argue with, too. And parts are even available. Like I said, I tore up the whips on this. That's my third and, or let's see, not counting the two that came with it, that's my second and third that I've destroyed. So, and I just ordered some more on Amazon. I'm trying to stop tearing them up, though, because that's, you know, less than ideal. So then we'll just loosen this guy, stand that up. That's ready to go back to the car. Just kind of lean that there. Let me put you guys over here. So then we'll finish packing up here. Again, my favorite pocket radio, the QMX, coming in clutch today for those 12 contacts. 2,000 miles on this little guy today. That's awesome. It's 5 watts. That's all that puts out. I do still have, like I said, that little pocket battery. It works great. I love it. And I carry it around too, but I've been messing with this Swisstech battery. It's fun too. Got a retractable cable on my key. We'll tuck that in these little pockets. The Xiegu speaker, I got this in a bundle, I think with my X6200. Great speaker, I love that speaker, it's awesome. Tighten that up. And I know it's not probably going to do it, but you can see there's a spot there where a light is. That's actually on right now, it's green. That's the solar charge indicator. So you could put this on the dash of your truck or car on the way to the park and add a little juice to it on the way there. That's awesome. Really universal and helpful that you can do that. So let's see here, trying to get all this packed in this little bag. It was a tight fit this morning getting this thing together. So roll this up. This is my power cord. Again, Whiskey 3 GTR. Thank you for the info on these. So these are I don't know if they're like up transforming cables or how they do it, because you know, if you're not aware, a typical USB-C port puts out 5 volts, but the QMX wants to run on 12. So these take a USB-C connection and turn it into the, I think it's the 2.1 millimeter that the QMX uses, but it also ramps it up to 12 volts instead of 5. Tuck that in there. And so that's how I'm able to power that QMX on these little pocket batteries. You cannot plug a QMX into a LiFePO 4 battery. 13.5 volts, you'll fry it in a heartbeat. So you have to be careful. Mine was stuck under the device there. You have to be careful with battery choice on a QMX. Let's see. Slip our little pigtail for the NanoVNA in here, like so. The NanoVNA put up. Got a BNC to UHF, of course, on the coax. This is a UHF coax, so need that adapter in there in order to plug into the QMX. I do have a BNC to BNC coax, but it's only about 5 feet long. That one is kind of, I purchased it for the intent of true tabletop ops. If I'm doing something from a picnic table out in the open and I'm using a little tripod antenna, or I've got that Gable tripod set up with the hamstick on it on the table, I've got a nice short coax. I don't have it just absolutely everywhere in the way, and it's worked well. I used it on the Tin Park Robe I did a couple weeks ago, and it did very well. So Alright, let's flip that over. This is just a Maxell electronic storage bag that I picked up at Walmart quite a while ago for this purpose, basically to store my stuff in. So again, this is the whole kit. We've got the antenna, the tablet I was using for logging. It was working better today. Maybe the internet was just slow yesterday where I was at. And then, of course, the gear bag and the tripod. And that's it. You can see we have no trace left behind. No anything else hanging out anywhere. Want to be good stewards of our parks and make sure that we are not creating a nuisance. That's part of why I typically use earbuds when I'm activating, because I don't want the noise for those around me, but I don't have a way to get the audio into the activation video just yet. So that's what I have to do. So Whiskey Alpha 3 November, Whiteville State Fishing Lake. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to head back down to the car and get back on the road. I appreciate you watching my videos. I'm going to try to keep uploading as long as I'm able to. I do most of my activations. It just kind of depends on what the activation is and what my time frame is. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to catch you on the air again soon. And if you get a chance, stop by and check in on one of my activations. I always like to make contacts and meet new folks, and I do exchange paper QSL cards if that's your flavor. Confirm on QRZ, upload to LOTW, all those things. So feel free to get me in the logs, and I will catch you at the next park. 7-2s.